Hi, everyone. I'm Steven Sigman.
And I'm Mike Messinio.
And this is the weekly movie throwdown, where each week, normally, we take two films that have something in common, talk through each of them, and figure out which one is better. This week, however, we're mixing it up a little bit, and we're going to draft some films. It's going to be a lot of fun. We have some guests who are going to help us along, starting with Laura Carney, returning guest, just on a few weeks ago, actually. Laura, hello.
Hello. I'm going to do my best to look down at my notebook less this time, but I'm very happy to be here.
Okay. Look
because
wherever
it was
you need to
off-putting. But thank you so much for having me, and I know you kind of don't have a choice because I'm your wife.
Yeah. Well, I mean, he doesn't have a choice, but technically I do. So take that.
So let me rephrase that. Mike, thank you so much for having me back.
You're welcome.
There you go.
I appreciate it.
Also joining us this week, another friend of the show, Gerik Gooch. Hi, Gerik. How are you?
Hey, good to be here, guys. I just want to thank Mike. Thanks for allowing me to come on the show again.
It's my pleasure. It's good to have you here.
I really appreciate it, man.
You're welcome.
Every week, Mike's telling me we need to get more people on the show. I'm going to do it. And he doesn't. Here we are.
I didn't mean all at once, but sure. This is fine.
Well, we're doing a movie draft this week, and I think it's important to have more people because that makes it more fun and it makes it more of a competition. There won't be a winner. We'll throw this online at the end, and people can vote on it and see who they think wins. But ultimately, we're not going to have a champion at the end of this. What we're doing is we're going to draft summer blockbuster films from the 20th century. So that means we're starting with Jaws, which is widely considered the first contemporary blockbuster of the summer. So from 1975 to the year 2000, that's what we're pulling from for this. And we're going to have 5 categories from which we need to fill in. So each of us is going to pick one of these films to fit into one of these categories. And the categories we're going to use are action or comedy, Oscar winner, Spielberg, Lucas, or Cameron involved, which is basically all of them, sequel, and wild card. So in the end, we're going to have each of these filled in with a pick, and then we'll take it to the internet. To figure out the draft order, I have, for our visual friends, this little bag that is filled with all of our names, and I'll pick at random. We're going to do a snake draft, which means each person picks, and once the last person picks, they pick again, and we go in reverse order, back and forth, back and forth. So Laura watched me write these names down and put them in this bag, so she knows it's legit. Unless she comes out with a favorable pick, then it could be that I'm throwing it for her, but I don't think so. So before I do this, I just want to ask you guys, Laura, do you have any summer blockbuster connection? Are any of these films that we're talking about things that mean a lot to you, or that you've had specific experiences with that you think you might draft because of that?
I mean, that's a tough question to answer. I'll do my best, but I mean, there's so many of them I realize that I like that are just because they're from my childhood, and I just have these distinct memories of the movie watching experience. Like, you've told me before stories, Gerik, about your memories riding roller coasters, like with certain family members. And so I just, when I look at this list of movies, it's like I have 2 with very specific memories, which I hope doesn't give away some of my choices today. But one of them is E.T., really important movie to me. My dad, randomly took me out to lunch and then to see E.T. when I was in preschool.
Do you remember that?
I do remember it.
You could have only been 4.
Yes, but that's how important that was. I was 4 years old, and here I am, because I related to Gertie, I'm sure, and the irony, of course, is that movie is really about divorce, and my parents were actually about to get divorced, and I have wondered at times, did he do that on purpose? Because he was emotionally preparing me, but he couldn't have because it was 2 years before they got divorced, so they didn't know that yet. But I think it was more I think my dad would go and see the movies, and then he would bring my brother and me to see them. Like he would see them on his own first to make sure they were okay. And I think what happened there was he had just loved it so much that, given his free-spirited nature, he's like, I gotta go take her to see this. And who knows, maybe I was having some kind of problem in school, so he's like, I'm gonna treat her to something as possible. Anyway, it's a very special experience for me, and that's what's so great about movies, right? Like our parents can bring us to see them as kids, and they're just magical, and it's like it changes you, it changes your trajectory. So that's why it makes me think of you with roller coasters as well, Gerik. Ghostbusters, a little bit of a different story. What I remember the most about watching Ghostbusters for the first time is my dad falling asleep and like snoring in the movie theater. I can't like not. And he also did that during Forrest Gump.
Wait,
like,
do you remember? Did you ever
years later.
ask him? You were like, "Did you fall asleep because you didn't like it, or you just?" Because
I
I
don't
know
think
that
so.
my aunt used to take me to the movies just because she knew I loved movies, and she didn't care whether she was seeing it or not. Sometimes she would want to
Did
see
she
it,
fall
but
asleep?
yeah, she would. Like she'd be like, "Yeah," and would know it. Like I'm going in, and I'm going to take a nap. Yeah, I'm gonna get some popcorn. We'll eat some popcorn, and then I'm gonna knock out. Hopefully, you'll enjoy the rest of the movie.
I mean, I think
She
it's
did that like a few times. Like, yeah, I wouldn't. He wanted to see Freddy Krueger and all that. I didn't want to see no Freddy Krueger. Like, I remember my aunt in her 70s. I'm like a little kid taking me to see Nightmare on Elm Street Part 4. And she's like, I didn't want to see that mess. So but I love Gerik. I'll take him to go see anything he wants to see,
Yeah, I don't think I asked him, like, hey, did you not like it? Because I knew he liked it. I think it was more, I actually do have, like, audio recording of this now, because he used to make tapes with my brother and me singing when we were kids. And on one of the tapes, he's like, guys, let me just take a nap. like, please stop.
I'm tired.
I get it.
And he worked a lot of odd jobs. Like, he was a taxi driver. And he's like, I have to work later tonight. So I think that was the reason. He had jobs that kept him up really late.
What about you, Gerik? Any of these movies in particular? I mean, you just gave us some fun stories, but any of these summer blockbusters meaningful to you in any way?
Yeah, I mean, I think Laura identified just looking at these years, we're covering 1975 to 2000. That does cover all of our childhood. So, yeah, same thing. It just takes me back to some of my first cinema going experiences. Like there's things like I know I was in the theater to see The Empire Strikes Back, but I don't remember that. You know what I mean? I think I went. I know I was taken to see E.T. as well. That's probably the first one that I remember as well, Laura. But
Yeah, we're
even
the
that's
same
kind of
age.
like fuzzy, right? Yeah, because we're the exact same age. Even that's like fuzzy. I'm like, I remember seeing it, but I really didn't remember it till I don't know how many years later when it came out on VHS, right? Because that was the thing back then. We literally had to wait for years. Steven, I'm sure you know, as a physical media enthusiast, like that was one movie that I remember for years. We were waiting. I think it finally hit video in like 1989 or 88 after it had come out in 1982 in the theater. But yeah, I remember seeing a lot of these films as a kid, going to see them in the theater, and some of my first cinema experiences. Obviously, we already did an episode, Stephen, where I talked about my favorite summer blockbuster, which is In These Years, and it's right there. And
That's right. There we go.
Terminator 2, Judgment Day. So we'll see. Everybody's going to be fighting me over that pick today. All right?
Showing our hands.
Yep. I know. I know you guys are going to fight me for that one. T2 is
What about you,
mine.
Mike?
I'm keeping my
That was a great episode.
I'm keeping everything
Thank
close
you.
to the vest. I'm not going to discuss anything yet, but I will say that I only have one memory of my mother taking me to a movie and falling asleep, and it was The Smurfs and the Magic Flute, which I asked her to take me to. And I feel like in hindsight that was totally justified, falling asleep during Smurfs and the Magic
Yes.
Flute. I'm going to give her that one. That's totally deserved. That's fair. That was a terrible movie.
I don't remember that one, Mike.
Oh yeah,
I'm glad maybe I didn't see it.
I was into like
goodness.
see, here's the thing, because I was like a third child. I was into third tier stuff. Like my brother's got all the good stuff, and I got the stuff that was like third level. So like I didn't have G.I. Joe. I had like He-Man or Cops. I had Cops. Like that's what I got stuck with.
Cops.
Go look it up. Like it was a thing. It was terrible.
I don't remember Cops.
Yeah. So that's what I got stuck with. And so it's like, the Smurfs. Like I ended up like loving the Smurfs because somehow like it was like third tier cartoons or whatever. It's just how that was. So I was really into
He-Man is considered like B level G.I. Joe. I didn't know this.
He-Man was definitely a B level compared to, Star Wars stuff or G.I. Joe. 100%. Yeah, no doubt about it.
Yeah.
Oh.
He-Man was definitely B level compared to that.
Huh. I didn't know that.
I never owned a single
A-level.
G.I. Joe in my life because my brother had them all. So it was just like
He-Man was only A-level for the toys. They were like, it was like A-level toys, B-level show.
Right.
So He-Man is like He-Man's like the gem of the boys' toy universe.
Yeah, very
He
gem
is.
in the holograms. Yeah, that's
Okay.
pretty. That's a good call.
Because Gem's feet did not fit those shoes.
My mom still tells me the story that she reminds me that I think it was at Thanksgiving one year. She went and like stood in one of them long lines in the 80s to get me Castle Grayskull. She still remembers that. Like, remember when that one Thanksgiving I went out to shop on Black Friday and it was to get you your Christmas thing and all the parents were there to get the He-Man, the Castle Grayskull, and the He-Man toys and. She still remembers that.
I will say, though, Snake Mountain was actually harder to get than Castle Grayskull. Because Snake Mountain had the microphone that had you had the voice that you could use. That one was harder to get. I'm sure my mother hurt someone to get Snake Mountain at some like that Christmas. I have no doubt about it. Like, she was fierce.
There were so many stories about that from that era, from the 80s, right? That's why they ended up making that movie, with Schwarzenegger, right?
Yes.
Like fighting people off for toys at Christmas. It's like,
That's right. But yeah, so I will just say though, my main summer movie memory is a terrible summer movie. We went on July 4th and waited online for like 3 hours to see the first showing of Independence Day when it came out. So we got there early, stood online at the theater. It was like a huge atmosphere. We were teenagers, so it was like we could go on our own, and we went and we stood there. And I've never been more angry walking out of a movie theater, I think, in my life.
Wow.
Like the anticipation to actual reality ratio was so far off that I was furious. Like I cannot believe I wasted like 10 hours of my life to see this movie.
Well, now we know one you won't be drafting today.
Yeah, that is not in my draft.
We're going to make sure he has to pick that one. Yeah,
He's going to end up with it.
Yeah.
Collusion.
I will abstain. From voting. But yeah.
Steven, you know what's funny? I think it's funny that somehow we got into talking about the toys. Because that was such a big part of the Blockbusters, right?
Yes, in the early 80s, because of Star Wars and the Kenner deal, everything had to have merchandising. And that's a big part of why these films did as well as they did, especially in the 80s. So I'm sure we'll talk about that as we talk about these films. For me, my literal first memory is being in a movie theater seeing Star Wars. So I don't necessarily love Star Wars, but when I think back in my life, that's the first thing I remember. And it wasn't like a week after it opened or anything. Star Wars was in theaters for like 4 years. So it was like 2 years later or something, but that is very vividly my first memory ever. So it holds a special place, even though I don't care too much about it as a film. Okay. So let's pick the order. As I said, we have this little bag and I'm going to pick how we're going to go. The first drafter is Laura. I did not plan this. It's just the way it's going.
Cheater.
Number two.
Obviously, I'm going to choose. Oh, sorry.
Don't tell us.
Yeah, no, don't tell us.
I do not know how this works.
It's okay. Number 2 is Gerik. So our guests,
wonderful.
The guests eat before the chef, just like at a nice meal. Number 3 is me. And number 4 will be Mike. That's actually good for you, Mike, because you're going to get 2 picks on the turn.
I
So
know.
that's
Comes
actually
back around. Don't worry
I
about it.
kind of
I'm good.
wish.
He gets to flip it around. Yeah.
So
Yeah. This whole
Okay.
S. What did you call it? A snake pick? The
Snake
S,
draft.
That's okay. I've
Yeah.
never seen that before. This is interesting. All right. Okay.
that's how we draft my fantasy baseball league. So I'm
Okay.
stuck in that mindset. Okay, so the way it'll work is we can draft anything we want, and we just have to fill in each of the 5 categories. So, Laura, you get first pick. What are you drafting, and where are you going to put it?
And to be clear, let's say this for Laura's benefit, right? Because she said, "I don't know what the heck we're doing here." All right. As a draft pick, right? Only one person can pick each film, right?
Right.
Once a film is picked and been drafted, it's off the table.
Yep.
All right. That's just a little reminder.
Thank you. I appreciate that, Gerik.
Choose wisely, Laura.
Okay. And, since he has just given me that reminder, I'm going to change my first pick. Okay. In the Oscar category,
Ooh.
my choice is Star Wars.
Okay. Why is that?
Right.
One of the, I think, even though it's funny, even though Jaws supposedly was the first real blockbuster, I think we usually think of Star Wars as that holding that title because they always talk about like how much money it made. I think at least that's how I remember it. So to me, that's the best choice,
It's
and
really
because of its longevity.
Yeah. I mean, unlike Jaws, which spawned some questionable, sequels, although I'll go to the mat for Jaws 3D any day.
Right.
But, there were
Yeah,
knockoffs,
like Star
Piranha
Wars
and Orca.
spawned a whole universe of
Yeah.
great
Well-
shows and other movies and everything, right?
Yeah, at
Jaws,
least
come on.
At least
We
Bob
never
Zemeckis'
needed more
prediction
than
didn't
one
come true.
Jaws.
Right.
Remember that Jaws 11?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Well,
Back
There's
to the
time.
Future too.
God. Yeah,
Well,
thank
the
goodness
thing with
we
Star
don't still
Wars-
have a bunch of Jaws coming around,
Star Wars is really, like we mentioned with Kenner, kind of the beginning of the merchandising to such a vast degree. And everything that comes after it in the 80s, if you look at these, maybe not so much like the things still in the 70s, but I think it took a while for Kenner and Star Wars to kind of get on this merchandising train with the toys. And so by the time Empire comes back in 1980, it's all toys. And then you look at the stuff after it in the 80s, and a lot of it is really merchandise heavy, and that's kind of what leads it into the success that it had. Maybe we should have added, like, in addition to the gross, the merchandising grosses. That would have been interesting to see.
I wonder if anyone has compiled those numbers in an easy-to-see format.
I don't know.
How much
Okay, Gerik,
merchandise-
you're up next.
Okay.
I know what you're taking.
I don't want to disappoint you, Steven. So, we're going to go ahead and take Terminator 2 Judgment Day off the table. I will take that for the Spielberg, Lucas, Cameron involved category.
Okay.
Let's do that one. All right.
All right.
We see that could also have been Oscar winner. But I'm going to take that for the Spielberg, Lucas, Cameron. Which is funny that you chose these categories because I think I told you when I first went off to film school, I was really inspired by James Cameron. And not this movie, T2, it was honestly the making of The Abyss, which Mike and I were talking about earlier. Just seeing everything that went into making that film, how insane that was, like, made me see like all the people and the hard work that goes into it and start thinking of all those names at the end of films. And so when I went off to film school first, I was a big Cameron fan, and I love Spielberg too, but I was like, Cameron, that's my guy as far as these big blockbuster kind of films. And I had another friend who was a Spielberg guy, and it was like the constant back and forth between Spielberg, Cameron. So I love that you gave us that category because they are kind of the leaders of the blockbuster film in addition to George Lucas, only because he created Star Wars, which turns into so many other things on this list, right?
Yeah, I originally had it as just Spielberg, but his footprint wasn't as big as it is now.
Lucas.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And even that got a little too tight. So I thought Cameron's the next person in line to have a hand in so many of these. Okay.
And I don't
Mike-
think Cameron did anything with Spielberg or Lucas, but Spielberg and Lucas did stuff together, right?
Right.
That's how we got Indiana Jones, right?
Yeah.
So
Actually, I'm happy you said that, Gerik. Can I just add something really quick that I learned the other day about Spielberg and Lucas? I thought it
Yeah.
was really funny. I was watching an interview Spielberg gave, I guess probably because of Disclosure Day, and he was talking about how when he put out Close Encounters, George Lucas, he thought that was going to be the blockbuster. Like, Close Encounters came out the same year as Star Wars. And basically because they were buddies, they decided to hedge their bets. So George Lucas bought stock in Close Encounters, and Spielberg bought stock in Star Wars. And they thought Star Wars was going to be not a flop, but they did not think it was going to be as big as it was. They were like, oh, what is this weird thing he's doing? Because the production value looked low to the people who were actually making it, right? That's what they always show in the documentaries about it. So Spielberg apparently just laughed all the way to the bank. Like, he just thought it was really funny that he ended
Literally.
up making so much money because of George Lucas's success. I just thought it was a cute story because it's like it kind of gets rid of their competitiveness, you know, because they both benefited from each other's hard work, which is smart.
Right.
wow.
Yeah, I mean, that's a good relationship to have, for sure. Okay, it's my turn to draft, and I think I'm going to go... I'm going to keep it simple, and I'm going to keep it big, and I'm going to go with Jaws, just because it's the beginning of all of this.
The OG.
Yeah, it's the OG. I mean, it really sets the tone for everything we're going to discuss today. And, we watch it every year on the 4th of July, though we didn't yesterday. But it's something that people go back to, and it's just such a simple film, really, that it makes it so that studios after this would follow that format, put all their money into one summer film and have intriguing storytelling, but keep it pretty fundamental, and that's what people love. So yeah, I got to go with Jaws just because it's what it is. And I think I'm going to take it under action or comedy, which sounds kind of crazy, but it's an action film, right? I mean, do we consider it an action film?
I think so. Almost horror, right? It's pretty scary.
Yeah.
Is
that questionable, guys?
That's a great question, because I've never really thought about the genre of Jaws, but
I mean,
yeah,
what
now you got
action
me
films-
questioning it. I'm like,
What action films existed
I
at that
guess
time?
I would call that a thriller
Yeah.
more than anything.
What do you think, Mike?
It's close enough to an action movie where I'm gonna side with you.
You're gonna allow it? I don't know if I would allow that one, Steven. I'm not the judge here, but I don't know.
But who's the action hero? Richard Dreyfuss?
Look, because I'm going to tell you here, and here's
Bruce.
all right. So IMDb, and they put everything possible, right? They say disaster, monster horror, sea adventure, survival, adventure, drama, horror, thriller.
I did say
Not
horror.
action, no comedy, and that's why I think adventure is correct, which is different. Remember, we used to have action/adventure, action-adventure. But I think this is more of an adventure, drama,
It feels
thriller.
action adjacent, at least. I'll
is
move it to
adjacent?
Oscar.
I mean, you
move
could
to
slot it
Oscar.
in as
That's
comedy
fine.
because
Steven,
I mean
because-
it's very funny. You could it's action or
Yeah.
comedy. I think it's a funny movie.
If
It
The
is
Martian
funny.
can be
Oh, that's
nominated
funny.
as a comedy, Jaws can be a comedy, right?
What I wonder though is we all know that Steven's a big animal whisperer, animal enthusiast. So I'm wondering if Steven perceives Jaws as the hero of that action movie.
Oh, I mean, justice for Jaws, right? Like, that poor guy's just doing his thing.
Justice.
So
Every
so
time,
you
he's
mean
Poor
just-
it's
guy's
Oscar.
just doing his thing.
Why do
Yeah.
I feel like we need to get Steven that T-shirt? It's the Justice for Jaws.
Justice for Jaws?
Yeah, they're gonna have a big fist on it. Like, yeah,
Something
move
no
it to
one has
Oscar
ever
winner.
said ever.
yeah, Justice for
fine.
Jaws.
It's okay.
He just wanted to scavenge the ocean, guys.
Yeah, all those people in the 70s afraid to go swimming. Justice for Jaws.
Did you guys see that we had a real-life Jaws scenario at Coney Island this weekend?
Just this
There was a
weekend?
shark-
No.
There was a shark
Oh yeah,
bite.
yeah.
Wow.
on Coney Island in the water.
Wow.
Yeah. It was all I could think about was you have a panic on your hands on the 4th of July.
Well, I know that Mike's supposed to go next, but I'm really hoping that Mike, either you or Steven, will give us sort of a little mini lecture on the origin of Blockbuster. Because I researched it a little bit, but I imagine you probably did more.
I'm sure Steven did.
I'm sure Steven did as well.
I just want some backstory. And I'm sure our listeners do too.
I mean, from what I understand, what Jaws did was the studios spent the marketing buy in a different way. They put a lot more money into a summer film and really created not only the summer blockbuster, but the tentpole film, where instead of spreading out their marketing across a bunch of releases, they put it in most of it into one film. And because it's kind of a simplistic story and it has action and really some sort of technical advancements with the mechanics of Bruce the Shark, even though that didn't work, and that's the famous story now, that really kind of set how studios go forward with promoting these films that are on this list. And that's the kind of the summer blockbuster thing. The term blockbuster itself, I think, comes from like the 40s or something, where they like busted a block waiting in line to see a picture. I don't know if anybody has any other.
I will just add,
Busted up.
segue into my pick. The other thing I think too is number of screens.
Yes.
That movies traditionally been released on few screens, and then you built it up as word of mouth built,
Right.
and you moved it along. This technically started the idea of releasing movies in a lot of screens at once to try to maximize value right out of the gate, and that very much changed how movies are released. So that's also a part of it.
Yep. Yep.
It's funny. I didn't think about it till you brought this question up, Laura, and we're talking about it now. That I guess the origin of the blockbuster came more out of, as Mike's saying, release strategy, and as you're saying, Stephen, a marketing strategy. It's like more money into the marketing, into more theaters at the same time. Because nowadays we typically think about blockbusters and we think about the production budget. We think about, this is the film that the studio's going to sink the most money into. This is going to be $150, $200, $250 million film, right? That they want to try and make $1 billion off of, right? Because I think I'm looking up Jaws here, and it was the production budget, which I'm sure was high at the time, but nowhere near any of these blockbusters now.
Right.
Was $9 million.
Yeah.
So the first blockbuster film was made for $9 million. How about that?
Well, one thing I was asking Steven earlier today that I'm trying to understand and learn about is, why did it take so long for the term blockbuster to catch on? I mean, because you said it started in the 40s. And Steven, I actually did some extra research today. And one thing I found out is the origin of that word, which is what I always thought it was relating to the fact that they were lining up down the block. It's actually darker than that. Like, there's actually a secret dark origin of why they're calling these movies blockbusters. Okay, so apparently in the 30s and 40s, that was when suddenly people started going to a lot more movies. And it wasn't just because of the Great Depression or World War II. It was actually the air conditioning. It was because so many of the movie theaters were air conditioned, as I'm sure you all know. But they wouldn't just sit there and watch the movies. They watched all of this like war footage. It was like where they were getting their news from, because they didn't have TV yet. They just had newspapers. And some of these movies that they would watch were like kind of graphic with like images of the war. And there was one in particular that, at least this is the article I read today. It said in 1943, a movie came out called Bombardier, and it was just showing like it was demonstrating the tactics that they used in World War II. And one of the techniques they showed was the way that they would bomb people or bomb towns, and they would bomb like 1 or 2 blocks at a time. So because they were showing the technique of block busting in these war films, they just started associating it with the way that they marketed the war films. So like Bombardier in Variety magazine, it said they called it the blockbuster of all action thrill service shows. So it was literally showing people busting blocks on film. That's where it came from. And then later they applied it to the fact that people were lining up down the block. So I thought that was kind of crazy.
Interesting.
Yeah, thanks for bringing us down with some dark history there.
But that's the thing. Like, if they came up with the term then, so I wonder, like, were the people in the 70s who are now making these movies, like Spielberg, were they just kind of nostalgic for the 1940s stuff? Because, you know, they always say with his Indiana Jones and all, like, he was trying to make these, like, action, like, detective suspense movies that he grew up loving, that were, like, serials that he would love. I wonder if it has something to do with that. I don't know.
I don't know. We'll have to ask him next time I see him.
I think maybe it took 30 years to shake the super dark origins of the word blockbuster, and then they finally brought it back. That's what it took.
Yeah, the
Right, well,
video, the video
you
store
know-
made it light, guys. They were like, yeah, Blockbuster Video.
Oh my God, I didn't even think about that.
Don't forget about Blockbuster Video.
Oh my God. That's horrible.
I mean, they destroyed mom and pop stores on every block, so that's
There you go.
appropriate.
They busted up blocks too. Yeah, in a different way. Until they got busted themselves by Netflix. Sorry, Blockbuster.
Okay, Mike, what's your pick? Thanks for being patient.
That's all right. It's
Just
worth
gave
the
him more
wait. It's
time
worth
to
the wait
think.
for you guys. I'm going to pick the
Okay.
first action comedy movie. So this is easy for me. I'm going to pick the most important summer movie of my entire life, which was Batman,
I knew it.
There we go.
and which is an easy pick. I mean, not to go off for hours on this, but I mean, it was probably the single most important movie that has ever been released in the summer in my lifetime, for me personally. And I remember very distinctly my last day of school was, a matter of fact, like June 23rd is just embedded in my mind. Like I used to use it as my old phone pin. Like the date Batman was released, like that's how long like it stayed with me. But June 23rd was like my last day of school. Like I graduated elementary school that day, the exact same day, June 23rd. And we got the hell out of there as fast as possible and went to the movie theater and got online as quickly as we could to get into the 1 o'clock first showing of Batman. We had a half day that day, and my brother and I were there. And I remember, like, because we were smaller, like just like rushing through underneath people to like get into the theater as fast as possible because it was first come first served seating, of course. And I saw that movie 8 times that summer. I've never seen any movie that much in a movie theater before or since. So we said 8 different times, and it played all the way in August. I mean, we ended up seeing it like end of August as well. So it was like the 8th time I went to go see it. I even won a radio contest, and got tickets for that movie. Like it's one of the only radio contests I've ever won in my life, and we won tickets to see Batman. And by the time we got the tickets, we'd already seen it 3 times. So that was the 4th time we saw it. The free movie tickets that we got from the radio station. So needless to say, I mean, it was the first big. I mean, there hadn't been a big superhero movie since Superman 2, honestly. And the first big one of my childhood. It was right in my wheelhouse. I had started reading comics like 3 years before that. So it's like I was primed like perfectly for that movie to come out. And it's just hard to explain like the marketing phenomenon if you weren't there for it.
Yeah.
I mean, it was everywhere. I mean, every billboard. I mean, they had every T-shirt, candy. I mean, the soundtracks. It's like it was everywhere, and it just felt like it completely dominated the summer of '89 for me. So it goes without saying. Like to me, that is when I think of summer movies, that is the movie I think of. It's the only time like I was as much in a frenzy as any other person going to see anything. Like it kind of just dominated my world that year.
Mike, I'm
That's so
curious. At that age in 1989, where were you going to see movies, and how did you go? Did you have to
Got dropped
get
off
a
by my
ride?
parents. Yeah, we got dropped off. My mother picked me up from school. My brother was in the car because he had finished because he was in junior high, so he'd already finished school. She drove us to the Sunrise movie theater, which is a classic movie theater. That's some of my great movie experiences at the Sunrise movie theater until they closed it down because too many people were getting shot there. But that's neither here nor there. We'll put a pin in that. But drop us off at the Sunrise
called
theater.
me dark.
Yeah, I'm trying to stay away from the darkness. But, yeah, so that's what it was. We were getting dropped off then.
So 8 times you had
Yeah,
to
8
say, "Hey, Mom."
Well, the
Yeah, I'm
last
going to
2
see
times we
Batman
saw it at
again,
a
if
theater
you
we
could-
could walk to. So there was
so there was a walking
so the
theater
big
even,
multiplex
too.
is where we wanted to go see it. So that's where we saw it the first time.
Yeah.
By like the seventh and eighth time, we went to like our local movie theater, which is a much smaller theater. But we felt like we had gotten enough out of it at that point, so we could see it in the smaller theater, and it was okay.
Right. Wow.
That's a really good question, though, Gerik. Like, let's go further down that road. What did your parents think of the fact that you wanted to see this movie 8 times? Or was that something all of your friends did?
Well, as someone who made my mother take me to see Smurfs and the Magic Flute, they were very okay with my obsessions. Like, I would become obsessive about things. Mm-hmm. When I wanted the second wrestling album for my birthday, and I'd asked for it, like Pile Driver, it was the second wrestling album, if we remember this.
They made albums?
Yeah, they did.
Oh, yeah.
That's a whole discussion for another time. Anyway, I asked for it for my birthday, but I was so worried it was going to sell out that like every day I just kept asking, like, did you buy it? Like, did you make sure you got it before it sold out? And I asked them so much that my mother threw it at me like 2 weeks before my birthday because she couldn't take me asking her about it anymore. And she just gave it to me early. So they were very used to the idea that like I would become fixated on something and that would just dominate my role. But the fact that my brother was equally obsessed with it, it was fine. Like, you know, they would take both of us. They were good about it. I think they only watched it with us once, though. I think like they actually went once to see it with us, but all the other times we saw it without them.
Mike, have I ever told you my Batman story?
No.
Is it okay if I tell him real quick, Steven? You know my Batman story.
No, let's move on. No, go ahead.
I really believed him.
Right, yeah.
Okay,
And
so
divorce.
I'll be brief. Yeah, I'll be brief. So, all right, my mom was known to decide in the middle of us watching a movie that this movie was not appropriate for us to be watching.
God.
Unlike my dad, I think she did not preview the movies before we saw them. So a great example of this, Gerik and I go way back. I mean, we've been friends since like 6th grade. So Gerik probably came to my 12th birthday party, my 6th grade birthday party. He would have missed my 5th grade birthday party, though, where we got 2 movies. One of them was West Side Story, and the other one was Beetlejuice. And there was a scene in Beetlejuice where my mom decided, no, this is too much, and she literally stood in front of the screen and made us turn it off, which I'm sure was her being a good mother. Maybe there was something, I don't know what it was, but there was something like we couldn't understand or watch.
Do you remember which moment that was in Beetlejuice?
I think it's just something really, maybe when he appeared for the first time. That's possible. I don't know. There's some gross stuff that happens in that movie. But I think it was probably the next summer or the one after, probably the next summer, she took my brother and my cousin to see Batman in the theaters. So I think my brother probably would have been around 9 or 10. Same summer, I'm now visiting that cousin's sister because we would do a kids exchange in the summers. We also went to see Batman. We were allowed by my uncle to stay for the entire movie. So my cousin and I are quoting Batman every day for an entire week. Meanwhile, the moment in Batman where the mayor, I think it is, gets a pen in the neck from the Joker, that was the moment my mom decided it was too much, took my brother and my cousin out of the theater. And he still talks about it to this day, that my cousin and I got to see Batman, and then the 2 boys were not permitted to watch it. So I can't watch that movie and not remember that happened. It was scary. Like, that was kind of violent.
Yeah, I mean, the part where the guy gets fried to death is actually genuinely scary. I mean, with the buzzer, I mean, that's a pretty shocking thing in a movie for a 9-10-year-old to see. Sure.
Yeah. Mike, which category did you take this in?
Action.
Action comedy.
Action.
Yeah.
Okay.
Action. It is both of those things.
Wanna make
It is.
sure.
It is action and a comedy, I think.
Yeah. Now this one, no argument from me on that.
But why did a movie like Batman take off the way that it did, but a movie like Beetlejuice didn't?
Merchandising.
I mean, let's put it this way. And I think that the Marvel movies prove this. I think there's always been an audience for a good comic book movie. I think that those characters are canon to us. I mean, Batman had been around for 50 years at the point that movie came out, right? So there's always an audience ready. No one just understood how to do it or how to make it or how to market it properly and how to get it out. I mean, Superman was the first time anyone really had figured it out. And the fact that no one figured it out after that is a good example that they still didn't understand what they had. So, I mean, Batman, again, was just putting the right material in front of the right person. And they finally understood they could market it to people like me. And they knew that they had something. I think that's really what it comes down to. And I think that just using the blockbuster mentality of creating that tentpole. And they were really able to gear it up and make it a huge moment. I think it's in my mind. I mean, Star Wars and Jaws are more like flukes. It's like things just kind of happened unexpectedly. Batman was a precision. It's the first time I can really think about a studio basically precision releasing stuff, like understanding what they had and just bombarding you into submission about it. Like they knew exactly what they were doing. It was like a military campaign that just wear you down till Batman was everywhere. And and that was pretty much the way that they marketed things going forward.
Yeah,
Batman had the help of having a great visual aid in a logo.
Yeah,
right.
100%.
They had redesigned that Batman logo, right, and it was that perfect little oval with the cool little shape of the Batman. That everyone had that. Remember, that was on T-shirts. It was on billboards. All you had to see was a logo, and it was cool. It was like, ooh, Batman, yeah.
Wait, guys, was that Tim Burton though?
That was Tim Burton.
And he did Beetlejuice too, didn't he?
Yeah.
Am I wrong? Okay.
Yeah.
IP. That's the difference, I think.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, the time, but everybody knew Batman. And it was, you're right, Mike. It was like manufactured to be what it was.
Yeah.
And,
I mean, there's so many things I can look back now and I can understand things that I didn't understand as a kid about the way I was manipulated to be obsessed with Batman. Yeah. I mean, although, like I said, I was already there. Like I was the prime audience for that movie. I'd already loved Batman at that point. So, but it's very easy to see. It was just a total marketing domination. Any single thing you could think of that they could put a Batman logo on, they did. It was everywhere.
Yeah.
And we did
Maybe
a whole
the fast
episode
food thing
about
too,
it.
Yeah.
Yeah, we could. I mean, we could do a whole episode just about, the marketing of that movie and other ones. But
we did, didn't we? Didn't we do an episode about Batman?
Well, I just mean the marketing
did,
of
yeah.
it, though. Like just the
sheer marketing.
I bought like Batman candies. I mean, which I didn't even eat. I didn't even like them. They were stupid. But I bought the tin because it had the Batman
probably
symbol
had
on
cereal, right? Batman cereal. They had
100%. 100% Batman cereal.
But I mean, what I remember the most clearly, though, is we talked about the toys, but we didn't even really talk about Happy Meals or McDonald's or Burger King even. And it was like there was always McDonald's or Burger King was going to choose a movie for the summer, and like the surgence of fast food in the 80s and 90s. I had to have a big part of it.
Yeah, that's true too.
Yeah, I can think back to
McDonald's
Star Wars
relationship
merch.
with Disney was huge.
Yeah.
Yep. Okay, Mike, you get one more pick because we're on the turn. So what's your next draft?
All right, on to the second round.
Wow, I wasn't expecting to come up this fast. So, we'll jump into Oscar winner. I feel like because I can't figure out any other place to put it, I'm gonna put Who Framed Roger Rabbit as my Oscar pick.
Oh, nuts! I was thinking about that one.
Yeah.
I just think that
that movie.
this is a movie that grows in estimation. Honestly, like I like it more every time I see it. I just think it's such a fantastic mix of animation and live action, which at the time that it came out seemed like a genuine miracle. It just felt impossible that anyone could figure out how to do that and make it not look stupid. We had Gene Kelly dancing with Jerry the Mouse and whatnot, but you could obviously tell that was something laid on top of something else. Whereas Who Framed Roger Rabbit felt very seamless in a lot of ways. It's just such a marvel of technical filmmaking, but also a fun movie. I mean, I was genuinely shocked at the end. I thought it was very funny. I didn't quite understand Jessica Rabbit at the time that I saw that movie the first time, but I knew something was going on.
You understood.
Maybe deep down.
Deep inside of you.
Maybe deep
something
inside,
was going
places
on.
I didn't want to think about.
We
down.
have all been imprinted by Jessica Rabbit.
Yeah, but I knew something was going on. But but it was a big movie. It was I really loved that movie when it came out.
I think what you said about this being kind of a technical marvel is something that if you look at the films on this list is kind of inherent in most of them, where there's some kind of technology advancement, or it takes whatever's existing to another level that makes it sort of jump out amongst the other films. And that's just kind of an interesting thing that most of these, not all of them, but most of them have in common, that really, I guess that's what they lean into for, if they're putting all this money into one film for the summer, make it something that's going to advance, the film going experience. So I just think it's pretty interesting. Speaking of that, we're on to my second pick, and this might not be the most CGI heavy, and in fact, some of the CGI in it is kind of terrible actually, but under wild card, I'm picking Ghost, because this film is an outlier with everything on here. It's really one of the few that isn't action or adventure or some kind of genre film, but it's incredibly powerful through its performances. Just the sort of the CGI of it is questionable in some places, but it caught the zeitgeist in such a way. And whether that's the pottery scene or Demi Moore's haircut, like there were all these little things, Whoopi Goldberg's performance, Oscar-winning performance. This is a film that really, we did this for the show last year or the year before, and it really struck me. I never gave it much of a thought before that, but watching it, it really connected with me for some reason. It could be my love of Patrick Swayze, I don't know, but and this is in a time for him that's sandwiched between two of his greatest endeavors by an objective account, Roadhouse and Point Break. So what a 3-film run for Patrick Swayze. And it's just almost a perfect film in my opinion, which I'm surprised I'm saying, but I really love it. So I'm going Ghost in Wildcard.
Also sexiest man of the year at that time, right?
Me or Patrick?
Patrick.
Oh, I was like 15, so I could have been
Right.
pretty
You
sexy back then. Okay, Gerik, you're up next.
Okay, let's see. I took T2 in the Spielberg, Lucas, and Cameron category. I think in the Oscar category, I'm gonna choose Alien.
Ooh, good pick. Why Alien?
This is I think that a lot of my formative love of film and cinema came from my love of Terminator and Alien. Just these two franchises. I was just so struck by these science fiction creations that were so visually stunning and realistic through the advancement of technology, right? They were always, like I said in our T2 podcast, James Cameron, every film he made won the Oscar for Best Visual Effects back in that time, because the teams were just advancing the technology. What's the best way to film something or create something in the computer or whatever to make this imagery look and feel real, to make the sounds feel real. So yeah, I think that's why I'm going to start with those two franchises as my first two picks. And I'm not even sure, and it's really tough to pick, whether Alien's my favorite Alien film, because after Ridley Scott did Alien, James Cameron came in and did Aliens, right? And that's really, I've always had those kind of back to back and don't know which one to pick. Like, they're from the same franchise, they're so different. Like, we're talking about genres where this one, Alien, is more like a straight horror film. Whereas then when you get to Aliens, it becomes an action thriller, extravaganza.
That makes sense.
But yeah, I do love Alien. It is dark and it's beautiful in its design. And like, as the creature is just one of the most incredible creatures that I think has ever been created on film. It feels truly formidable, right, and unstoppable. Like they describe it, like the perfect organism, right? That can protect itself even by bleeding. Its blood can kill you. So,
would you, Gerik? Would you call that a feminist movie?
Alien? Are you asking that because Sigourney Weaver becomes the protagonist? Huh. I'd never really thought about it as a feminist movie.
She's
But
kind of the first female action star.
Yeah, I was gonna say, but it did kind of break the mold for the kind of like the first time the woman with a group of men, right, is the one who survives and moves on. You know, you'd expect the woman to die early, or to only stay to the end because some man saved her, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I'd never thought about it like that, but yeah, you could put the Alien movies into feminist kind of thing. You know, I don't know.
As someone who wants justice for Jaws, I see Alien as
Way to bring it around.
unnecessary woman-on-woman violence because the alien was female.
Is
she
a female
gave birth
too,
to
Oh,
these other
good
aliens.
call.
So I don't know why Ridley Scott and Hollywood at large has to pit women against women. That's all I'm saying.
So if a man were to yell, "You bitch," it would have landed a little differently.
Yes.
Right.
Exactly.
Yeah, I don't know. I bet that little cat. I bet Jonesy was a female too. It was a little cat and a little girl. It's just all women in this movie.
My favorite part of Alien is Jonesy and Lance Henriksen.
That's your favorite. Yeah, of
You know, I
course.
hadn't even thought about that till just now. We started talking about Jonesy. I wonder if the cat they ended up using in it's a Marvel.
Yeah.
I wonder if
In
that was
Captain
kind of
Marvel,
like
yeah.
a tribute to Jonesy and Alien, because I mean it's actually even a similar
Yeah.
looking cat if I remember right. I hadn't thought about that. Interesting.
Except it's not a cat; they call it something else. It's an
Well,
alien.
yeah, that's obviously an alien, not an actual cat. But I
And
mean,
it-
it's a cat. So
It's like a
Alien
Flurgedorben or something.
Yeah, something. Yeah, what Steven said.
A Farfignugan.
Yeah, Farfignugan.
Goose was the name of that cat, I believe.
Yeah.
Okay, Laura, you have the next pick. Where are you going?
This is hard for me now because I've already given you guys childhood stories. I've played the
It's okay to
wordsmith
keep it
card.
brief.
I've played the feminist card. I think I'm all out of juice. No, I'm just kidding. I'm gonna go with, because nobody has gone with the sequel category yet today. I think I'm gonna choose for my sequel Superman 2,
Ooh,
I knew it.
which
Soup too.
it's interesting because I'm happy you said Alien, Gerik, because I only just saw Alien for the first time a couple years ago. And it was one of those viewings. You know how, like, I don't know, I'm going to feel like this is going to be an unpopular take, but you know how, like, you'll hear about a movie that's like an iconic movie for your whole life, and then you somehow missed it, and then you finally watch it. And for me, like, one of those, for example, was Casablanca. And the first time I saw Casablanca, I was like, oh, okay. Like, that was pretty good. Like, I've seen it, and it had been listed as the best movie of all time, except for Citizen Kane, I guess, or Gone with the Wind. So it was a little bit of a letdown for me. Alien was the opposite of that. When I saw Alien, it was a thing that I knew everybody has seen, but I haven't seen it. And when I saw it, I was like, holy shit, this is a really fantastic movie. And obviously, I was very psyched that it was a woman who saved the day. Superman 2, I rewatched it this week just because I had it in the back of my mind that I thought I was going to choose this one, and something was nudging at me. Well, give it a watch. Like, let's make sure it's as good as you remember it being. And I couldn't believe it when so first I watched the first one, which I felt like was a requisite for watching 2. And then after I finished with 2, I was curious, so I watched the new one again from last summer. And I couldn't believe how much better Superman 2 was as compared to the
last
new one.
year's. Yeah.
Yes, because people talk about that most recent one as being awesome, as being so great. Like, I don't know if anyone has ever said it's the best Superman yet, but it seemed to me it was a hit, that people really loved that movie, that they kind of got it right. They got his goodness right, or they got his, like, humanity that he talks about having in that movie right. But oh my God, the contrast was just, I could not ignore the contrast between the way they used to film action movies in Superman 2 and the way they do it now. Because there was just so much CGI, so much just action sequences without a lot of character development. Whereas if you watch Superman 2, yeah, there's some stuff in that movie where you're going to go, okay, this is really hokey. Like, this is how this used to be done. But at the same time, it's really, it's a fulfilling experience. It's like you leave the movie like that was a good movie, even though it's supposed to be a dumb movie, right? Because it's Christopher Reeve thought it was beneath him, right?
I'm sorry, I gotta jump in here
Did he?
because you and I may end up having a separate podcast throwdown because I rewatched Superman 2 and was shocked at how much I disliked it.
Oh no!
I really was like, compared to Superman 1, like I thought Superman 2 that the whole storyline was dumb, and I actually found myself like looking back on it now and thinking that you can make a movie about Superman choosing to not be Superman anymore over a woman is probably the most insane thing that has ever been done. The concept of that is insane and stupid. Like Superman, the person who gives his life to helping other people, would selfishly choose love for himself
but he's
over
lonely.
the gifts he was given to save humanity is insane. Like I hated it on principle. And then I found Margot Kitting's acting to be insane and not good. And I just found the whole movie harder to watch the second time around. Like it was, yeah, I love Zod, but I thought the movie itself was actually not very good. So you and I will have a sidebar argument about this later.
just for the sake of argument, I'm not sitting here telling the world that Superman 2 is a great movie. I was merely expressing the vast difference in quality that I found the character development and story and acting to be much more interesting than the new one.
In that regard, you're right. And you're right. I mean, the fact that because you can do all this stuff with CGI, I always think that the fighting sequences now in new movies are just almost hard to even understand. There's so much happening that it's even hard to figure out who's being hit at any given moment. I just find it just be a mess. Yeah. So you're totally right. Like the fact that you don't have technology to fall back on, everything in those older movies is so much easier to see. Like it's much clearer and that works better. The stuff with Zod is actually great in Superman 2. It's just everything else I think is not good. Like the whole rest of it just falls apart on itself. But
yeah,
I'm sorry. I didn't mean to crap all over your pick. I apologize.
That's okay.
I had strong feelings about Superman 2.
I still stand by it for my sequel.
I'm glad
Mike, you'll be on the receiving end of this when you pick Rambo First Blood Part 2.
You know it's coming. You do. Yep. We'll see where it gets picked, and I will defend it to the death. I'm ready.
This is a bombshell on the show, Gerik, because Laura and Mike are like simpatico on everything when it comes to film. So this is a real turn for us.
Nice.
Wow.
I think we should just have one episode, a special episode of the weekly movie throwdown, and Mike, you and I can just dissect every Superman movie.
Ooh,
I'm more than happy to do that.
Coming up.
Well, I'm going to, just before we move on, I just want to say real quick in my defense, I think when I was watching Superman 2, I realized, oh my God, this set the tone for like every relationship I ever had in my entire life. Watching this man choose to become a human just to be with her.
She's still waiting for me to do that.
I watched it at like, what?
I know.
I said you're still waiting for me.
No, I mean, I think I watched it at a very formative age, and it's like, oh, so committed relationships are a good idea. Even Superman is going to sacrifice everything to have one. And oh my gosh, he comes out of like, sorry, I'm the only woman here today, but he comes out of the glass thing and he's like so dreamy. I mean, he's like wearing a white button-down shirt and like his hair is suddenly like soap opera style. Like I don't know why when Superman becomes a human, suddenly his hair is longer. But I realized when I saw it, like, oh my gosh, like this was like we were joking earlier about Jessica Rabbit imprinting on everyone. Christopher Reeve in that moment certainly imprinted on girls my age. So,
All right,
that's interesting.
I definitely agree with you about Superman 2 being better than the last Superman.
okay.
So
the James Gunn one.
Not a big fan. I've heard also people who are like, I love the new Superman. I'm like,
yeah, Superman 3 actually wasn't as horrible as I remembered it being. So there's a point for you on that one. We're back to agreement. Where I remembered hating Superman 3, and then I rewatched that and thought, it's not as horrible as I actually remembered. It's not good, but it wasn't as god-awful as I actually remembered it being.
That too, yeah, I watched that one too.
Yeah.
It wasn't as god awful as I remembered it being. That's There's the blurb for the re-release.
Right.
Okay, Laura, you have
high,
another pick.
High praise from Mike.
Oh, I get to have another. I'm the snake now. Okay.
Yep.
All right, going with E.T. No one chose it yet. I laid it out for all of you to choose. I revealed my hand early on. I said I'm going to pick this one, and I'm going to go for it. E.T.
No,
You taking that under Spielberg involved?
You know?
Yeah, and I also rewatched that one in the last couple of weeks just because you guys were doing your Aliens theme, like when you watched Project Hail Mary and then also Close Encounters. Saw Close Encounters for the first time ever, and then of course I had to go down the rabbit hole and watch Spielberg interviews about E.T. and Close Encounters, and I just find it really cool that Spielberg always wanted to do a movie about divorce. And then he also had this idea of, I want to do another Alien movie because I don't think I delved deeply enough into, after seeing Disclosure Day, I feel really weird saying this, but I didn't delve deeply enough into like the internal life of that alien that walked out of the ship in Close Encounters. So I think that's probably why E.T. resembles that alien, that one. Like for some reason, all the other ones were like little kind of like munchkins walking around. And there was just one that came out and was super skinny and like, what a gray to look like. So I think it's kind of cool that he just basically now had carte blanche in Hollywood since he had been so successful with Jaws. And he's like, guess what? I'm going to take my divorce movie, I'm going to take my alien movie, and I'm going to put them together. And he came up with something brilliant as far as I'm concerned. So please don't shit on E.T., Mike, because I can't handle it.
No, I wouldn't. We did this in the old pod, and we thought, honestly, E.T. is almost a perfect movie. I mean, that's kind of the conclusion that we came to.
Yes.
It really is.
Well, Mike, you might change your mind when I tell you what it beat at the box office that summer by about $120,000. Rocky III came in number 2 behind.
Get
E.T.,
out,
so
really?
I know that's your beloved Rocky franchise.
I mean, look, if someone asked me to pick one of those two movies to watch the rest of my life, I'm going to pick Rocky III. Not because it's a better movie, not because it's Rocky III, but that doesn't mean I think it's a better movie than E.T. I'm not a crazy person.
Was Rocky III was the one with Mr. T, or that was Rocky II?
Yes, it was.
Those 3.
That was Clubber
Rocky
Lang.
III
And Hulk
Mr.
Hogan.
T, right? Yeah, Clubber Lang. Okay.
Yep.
Yeah.
Oh, those are the days.
Yeah.
This would have been a different draft if that had made like $150,000 more. Okay, who's up next? Gerik, you're up next.
Okay.
Where are you going?
Dang. All right. Let's see. We're on to the third pick. Okay. I think that I'm going to have to go with The Empire Strikes Back. Yeah. As I'm going to take that in the sequel category. And I'm going to say that might be the greatest sequel of all time for 5 words, guys. I'm going to give you 5 words.
I know what they are.
Luke, I am your father. Come on. How do
But
you
he never says it.
But he never says it. What do you mean?
He doesn't say that phrase in the movie.
Really?
He doesn't say, Luke, I am your father in The Empire
I'm pretty
Strikes
sure he
Back?
doesn't. I think it's like everyone remembers him saying it that way, but he doesn't say it exactly that way.
Search your feelings, Luke.
He says, "No, I am
have
your
it, Steven?
father." Yeah, he says, "No, I am your father."
Okay, right. He doesn't say
That's
Luke.
okay. You're
But
right.
yes,
That's what
no.
it is. He says, "No,
No,
I am your father."
I am your father.
But we
Yeah.
always remember it as Luke. I am your. Yeah.
Right, yeah, because we're telling the story. We're just
Mandela
yes,
effect.
but that phrase, "No, I am your father." So I'll just limit it to the 4 words. I am your father. That is, I mean, even as a kid, that was mind blowing. I don't know anyone who saw that coming. It I don't know. It almost like added a layer of storytelling to me as a child to hear that and say, "What? Like, what is it? He's his father? How could that be?" And like seeing how we could open up so many different layers and wanting me to go back further in the story is, oh wait, how could he be his father? Like, we need to find this out. But that really is. It's one of the greatest sequels. Obviously, I already picked Terminator 2, Judgment Day. We've got some great sequels here on this, but it's hard to beat that one. It really is. I know a lot of people who would say that is the best Star Wars movie. I don't know if I could take it over the original. Just for the technical, the editing and the score and all that on the original was just so incredible. But that's a mind-blowing story moment right there. And, you know, we got introduced to a whole new power in that film. You know, we had Darth Vader from the first Star Wars, but now in Empire we see the Emperor and his power and his yes, I would.
It's kind of not for kids.
It's so dark. It really
Yeah.
is. Yeah, and that's why I remember. I guess who Irving Kershner directed that? Isn't that right, Steven? Yep. And I remember hearing that Irving, I think, was one of George Lucas's teachers in film school. So he was an older filmmaker, established, had made films in the 40s and 50s and whatnot, and was teaching at film school. And George went to him to direct that because he knew it was the first thing he was making that he was like, I don't feel like I can direct this really. Like, because as we've seen lately, like George Lucas isn't really into he understands that you have to tell human stories, but he's not really into the humanity. He doesn't really care about the romance or the deep drama or all that stuff. So I think he needed to go to a really dramatic-centered director to direct this film, where he's like, "Don't worry, we'll get all the visual effects and all the magic of Star Wars, but I need someone who knows the heart of these characters and can bring that out and make this a really important story moment." But that's why I'm going to go with that as the sequel, because of that incredible reveal.
Was that, Gerik, was that Lawrence Kasdan's first time writing the script?
Writing?
It was. Did he write the first one? No?
No. I know he didn't write I wonder if that was his first script. Let's see.
Mike, you're on mute. Your mic is muted.
I've been saying brilliant things this whole time.
I knew it.
I thought I saw your mouth moving there for a little bit.
what were you saying?
What is?
I said, Lawrence Kasdan wrote the second one. That's also why it's better.
Yeah.
I also said that the whole reveal in Empire, it's like, how long do you think we could get that now? 2 hours? Would it be leaked before the movie even came out? Like, it just feels like it's a shame that we can no longer have anything like that probably happen again.
Yep. Yeah, it's unfortunate.
I just kind of wonder if Lawrence Kasdan is like Harrison Ford in real life, because he writes for him so much. Because he also wrote Indiana Jones, and then he also wrote Solo.
Right. He wrote Raiders
Like,
of the Lost Ark.
is he that guy? You know, is he that reckless, mercenary
I don't know.
in his real life, or
He
does
also
he
wrote
want
The
to be?
Big Chill, which doesn't have any connection to either of those things. But
Right. Yeah.
Okay.
Definitely a highly lauded writer of that time, Lawrence Kasdan.
And good friend of Martin Short. He just made the Martin Short documentary.
Oh, did he?
That's right.
Okay. I didn't know that.
All right, I'm up next. And I think, since we're talking about a sequel, I'm going to pick a sequel as well. And I'm going to go with, from 1987, Beverly Hills Cop 2, which I think there aren't a lot of comedies on this list. And I think it's important to have that obviously, I'm going to take it in action and comedy, but it's really an interesting look at taking something so successful and turning it as a comedy into a sequel, because there have been some to that point, but this is really the one, I mean, at least box office wise, that stands out amongst the others. And it's a Tony Scott film, which I often forget. He directed this, and so it has that. We talk about Tony Scott a lot on this podcast, at least we have lately, and it almost doesn't feel as much like a Tony Scott film, which makes me think that it's a great example of his range, because it's a little more reserved than, say, Enemy of the State or Days of Thunder, which we covered. So it's a good representation of comedy, and that's lacking on this list. So I'm going to take it under action or comedy. And Mike, that turns it around to you. You get 2 picks.
Yeah,
what are you gonna pick?
makes this pick easy for me because Beverly Hills Cop 2 was way up there. I really like that movie quite a bit. I think it's one
I'm
of the
glad,
few
I'm glad
sequels.
Steven chose that. I was hoping someone would give that.
It's one of the
film
few
some
sequels that I
recognition.
think is almost equal to the original. I mean, because it had a little more money, and Eddie Murphy was even more assured of what he was doing, so it just worked even better.
Yeah, he's every
But
bit as great.
fine,
yeah.
if we're gonna do sequels, we'll just close out the sequel, and you know which one I'm gonna pick. I'm definitely picking Rambo: First Blood Part 2. There's just no doubt about it.
Oh, he did it! Oh,
First Blood
Oh,
Part
nuts!
2.
I was gonna take that. Just kidding.
First
I
Blood
know
Part
there's
2.
no
was
way.
going to make sure that got picked today.
Yeah,
Okay,
that movie
so.
to me is so emblematic of the '80s that it's not even funny, and it really completely you can pinpoint that as movies before First Blood Part 2 and then movies after First Blood Part 2 because it took like the lone wolf singular action mercenary hero thing, turned it up to the highest degree possible, and then a million movies after that basically copied that template of movie. So whether you like it or hate it, I mean, it is such a hinge point in 80s action movies. And you go back and watch it now, I mean, it is still really entertaining to this day. I just find it really funny. And again, my favorite part in it is that they kind of introduce a love interest for like a minute.
And she
And then
dies
the
a
minute
second
they
later.
even give you a hint that there might be some romance, they just kill her immediately. I just find that hysterical. I'm sorry. I just think like that's everything you need to know about 80s action movies. Like there is no time for romance at all. None. Like we're moving on. Like it's just there's no point in even bothering. And yeah, and Steven and I talked about this on the pod. That we actually we found the original script by James Cameron, which was pretty fun to read now. What was changed and what wasn't, and we came to the conclusion that Stallone actually was smart to excise a lot of stuff from it. I mean, he took it from like a buddy comedy, like a buddy movie, and realized that it needed to just be singular focus on Rambo, and so they excised like the extraneous people, and just make it about him almost, which actually makes it a better movie and makes it a faster movie. It's just much
That's
shorter.
how he
which
writes
helps.
everything.
Are you saying Cameron had it originally written more like a buddy film?
Yeah, Cameron had a second character who was in the movie a lot more, like who followed Rambo throughout most of the movie. And I mean, obviously Stallone must have been like, I'm not sharing the movie with anybody, and just kind of got rid of that person like pretty quickly.
Right.
But in a way, it makes sense because it would have dragged the movie a little bit. It not only would have dragged down the pacing, it would have made it longer. And like an hour and 35 minutes is pretty much the perfect amount of time to spend on Rambo Part 2. I mean, that's it. So, I mean, in retrospect, the changes were smart. I just think it works. And my 11-year-old agrees with me. He really liked it, so it still holds.
Can I say that I think this was probably the most shocking film on this list. When Steven sent me this list of the top films, I don't know why this one just shocked me the most, seeing it there, and delighted me to see it there.
I think
because
that
I was
one of
like,
I think one of the underrated things.
First Blood Part 2. No
Yeah,
one
I think one of
talks
the
about
underrated
this
things that we
movie.
forget about Stallone, and I don't want to get off on a whole Stallone thing. We'll save this for a whole other podcast as well. But he inherently understood the audiences that he was gearing towards in the 70s and 80s. He understood what they wanted, and he understood exactly how to give it to them. And First Blood Part 2 is a perfect example. Like, who would have thought First Blood Part 2 would be the highest grossing summer movie? He did. Like, he understood that that is what people wanted, and he gave it to them. So, whatever you think of Rambo is what you think about America. Like, that is, he understands, I mean, he gets it. He got it. He totally got it then. I mean, he had his finger on the pulse of what people were looking for. So
This is another one that was big for me because of toys.
Oh yeah.
Because I watched this, and this is about a soldier going in, like you said, mostly by himself into the jungle to save the POWs. And like, I lived right by a giant forest, and I was
Same.
like, I want to be Rambo. I had all the toys. Right? I had
How
the
much-
machine guns. I had gun belts. And I wore
Yeah,
the headband around my head. I had the Rambo knife. Right, they had the notches in it and everything,
Hell
and
yeah.
the compass on the end. I literally had, right, these are like killing instruments, right? They were toys, right? And ran all over that forest for a long time like I was Rambo.
yeah, I still remember going to a drugstore and buying the replica Rambo plastic knife like in a drugstore. I have my mother buy it for me, and I'm like, this is nuts. Like, what kind of toys are they selling to kids in drugstores in the 80s? It's crazy.
I just love that even as a young boy, Mike, you were like, this feels wrong.
It felt crazy. But
should I be doing this?
Getting a giant toy knife.
The thing is, and another perfect example of what being the second kid gets you. Whereas my older brother actually had the knife where the top unscrewed and the sewing kit came out of it. Like, I didn't have that. I got the garbage second-tier plastic version.
Okay.
So, that's like some Transformers shit. That's amazing.
Yeah.
Now I have to watch. I've never seen a Rambo movie in my life, but now you've convinced me.
Yeah.
Typical James Cameron
First Blood
fashion.
is a really good movie. First Blood is a really good movie about trauma and, like, you know, for what it's worth. I mean, it's based on a novel, and it's actually really good. Rambo 2 is not that movie. It's a completely different thing.
Totally different thing. Yeah.
In any way, shape, or form, First Blood.
Once
What
again,
were you
James
gonna
Cameron
say,
almost changed the like genre of the film, right? To be this action extravaganza spectacular, right? When the first film, Laura, is really about a Vietnam veteran returning home with long hair, and people in particular the sheriff of this town says, "We don't want you here. Look at this guy." He's like, "What are you, some dirty hippie drifter?" He said, "We don't. This is a good American town. We don't need you here." And the whole film then becomes a battle between Rambo, who's like, "I just fought for this country," and the sheriff, who's like, "We don't want you in this town." And so there's a depth to it. There's a darkness and a depth to the characters movies. And then, then it just becomes, like I said, First Blood's like, oh, now we need John Rambo, the greatest soldier of all time, to go into the jungle and extract our POWs, It's like totally different.
Yeah, Mike's right. It's like the embodiment of the 80s, Rambo, First Blood Part 2. And Laura, earmuffs, but the film this beat to be the top film of this summer was Back to the Future. So
no!
Wow.
It's crazy that more people went to see Rambo than Back to the Future.
Well, that explains why I missed it.
Shocking. Yeah.
Right. I was at Back to the Future 8 times.
Also, Mike, you mentioned the sidekick, and we talked about this on our episode. Like, missing in action is what we put it up against, because there was kind of a run to see who would get this story out first. And the sidekick that they wanted was John Travolta. I don't know if you remember that, Mike, but he was the one they wanted as like the number 2 in the forest.
In Rambo?
Yeah.
That was supposed to be the sidekick, John Travolta?
Stallone and Travolta,
wow. Okay.
imagine. Yeah.
Which, I mean, makes sense because Stallone had just directed Travolta in the sequel to Saturday Night Fever. So it's not as crazy as it sounds. Like they were already connected. So
I think they need to do a face-off too, and they need to cast Stallone.
Stallone and Schwarzenegger in the sequel.
No arguments for me.
Face off.
Face off.
Yeah.
All right, Mike, you get another pick.
I mean, how can I top the pick I already had? I mean, that's crazy. But
you want to call it a day?
Great one. I'm glad you picked it. I was like, someone's picking it. If no one else,
we're gonna
me.
go Spielberg, Lucas, Cameron. I mean, T2's already gone, and I will say, Return of the Jedi is actually before Batman came out. Return of the Jedi was the only movie I had ever seen more than once in a movie theater, and that I went to with my parents. That my parents actually paid for all of us to go see Return of the Jedi more than once. Like, that's how big of a movie Return of the Jedi was at the time that it came out. I mean, so I have a great fondness for that movie. I remember really well being in the theater and seeing it. But out of this, I feel like I've got to throw it to Jurassic Park.
I knew it. I knew you were going to do a bait and switch.
Yeah. I just feel like
he's making us think it's Jedi, but it's actually Jurassic.
As soon as he said Spielberg, Lucas, Cameron, I knew it.
I knew he was going to go Jurassic.
Jurassic Park is now off the table. So
yeah, that year is just like the year of Spielberg. I mean, it's just shocking. We've talked about this before, Stephen. That it's like making Jurassic Park and Schindler's List in the same year is the most ridiculous thing I've ever heard. But Jurassic Park is such a good movie, and it's unfortunately one of those movies that gets forgotten because all the sequels have diluted it so much that it just feels unimportant now almost. Like, you just forget the power of the original. But at the time when it came out, I mean, it was shocking how like visceral it all was. I mean, we'd never seen anything like it. So I just remember really well being blown away by it. So I'm going with that one.
Can I ask you a question, Mike?
Of course.
Which one do you think was marketed more heavily, Jurassic Park or Batman?
Oh, that's a great question. I don't know. I feel like Batman, just because it was the first time it had really been done. I think like Jurassic Park just kind of took the mantle of the structure that Batman had already created.
Yeah.
But you're right. Jurassic Park was everywhere. And it's a similar thing where it's
really
like
was.
a simple symbol that you could just put everywhere.
The symbol.
And run with. And I think they learned all that from the Batman marketing, that you have to shrink it down to the simplest way to get your visual across and then just put it everywhere. And I have to say, though, I don't remember there being Jurassic Park candies. So it's possible that Batman won that one.
Yeah, good point.
They missed an opportunity with dinosaur eggs. They could have turned that into a candy and it would have been a huge success.
You know what? Maybe there were. Maybe I just don't remember. I mean, I certainly wouldn't pass up. I would assume they got every marketing opportunity possible. So it's possible I'm wrong.
I think they also, they probably had to market it. If I had to pick one there, I don't know the answer, but if I had to pick one that I thought would be the right answer, I would say Batman probably still was the most, because, that Batman was coming off of television, 60s television Batman. There wasn't really a Batman between that image of Batman and then Burton's. So they were trying to do something totally different, and they had to show people and market it like, this is Batman, guys, but this is a different Batman.
Yeah.
Now we're showing you a dark Batman, guys, a dark, cool,
I still
Batman,
remember seeing the teaser trailer for Batman, like the first time they showed it in the theater. Like, I just freaked the hell out. It was just the opening sequence on the rooftop, basically. It was just a couple of scenes from that, and I was like, I'm 1,000% in on this movie. Like, it was just... and again, just for the record, not just shitting on Superman 2, for the record, rewatching Batman now, it's not that good of a movie. The script is actually not very good.
Yeah.
It's just not. It's okay. But it's just in my DNA that I'll never say that it's bad, and it's so visually stunning that I'm willing to let everything else go. But it's a poorly written movie.
Mm-hmm.
I would guess that, like... Oh, sorry, go ahead, Gerik.
I was going to say, and comparing that to Jurassic Park, there were a lot of advertisements and marketing. Obviously, it was a huge budget movie, but I think just as soon as anyone saw, like even on a television commercial or whatever, dinosaurs, photorealistic dinosaurs, people were ready to go see that. They didn't even really
that was a huge
know
deal.
anything more.
Yeah,
people were like, oh, they brought dinosaurs to life and they look and feel real. They saw one clip of that, like T-Rex yelling it, and they were like, oh, I'm going to see that. I think Batman took a little more convincing. They had to really show people that, like, this isn't the Batman you know. For Jurassic Park, I think it was just like, oh, they finally got dinosaurs on screen. Like, let's go see this. Like, we hadn't really seen it done well, other than like maybe some stop motion. I'm sure Steven could name probably some Land of the Lost or like old film with some stop motion dinosaurs in it. And it was
Slee Stacks forever.
Yeah.
Well, I was going to say, I bet Batman was helped by the inherent mystery of the character of Batman. Because I remember, maybe somewhere in the back of my mind, I remember those trailers being mysterious. Like, they had to be, because that's what you're working with. Whereas Jurassic Park, there's not much mystery there. Like, what's the worst that could happen? We kind of know.
Right.
Someone's going to die.
Get eaten. Yeah.
Yeah.
So people are going to get eaten.
Yeah. Okay, it's on to me. And I think because we're kind of getting thin here for the things that I still need to fill in. Under Spielberg, Lucas, Cameron involved, I'm going to go with from 1997 Men in Black, which is
surprising.
not my favorite film, but I think it's a big deal in cinema because it's taking a lot of the things that we see in all of these other blockbusters individually and kind of puts them together. Like it's comedy, it's science fiction, it's action. And I think that's kind of an interesting mix. It's directed by Barry Sonnenfeld, who did a million things. He was actually kind of came up as a cinematographer working with the Coen brothers. And
cinematographer.
It's also like peak Will Smith, I think. You know, you have Independence Day the year before. It's a year before Enemy of the State. It's kind of like the height of, you know, we talk about is this a career peak on our show, and maybe this is for Will Smith, like what this is starting. He's also big as a musician at this point. So I think it's just a big year for Will Smith, and that carries over. There's just such a great dynamic between Will Smith and Tommy Lee Jones too. I think that cranky old man dynamic with peppy young guy. I'm sure there were examples of that prior to this, but this is kind of what you think of. At least I do when I think of that, because who's a better representative of cranky old man than Tommy Lee Jones? So
Yeah.
you stick that guy next to anybody and it's funny, I think. So yeah.
And the racial dynamics too. That it's a
exactly
kind of grumpy old white guy and a young black dude. Right? Who's like, come
That's
on,
right.
Gramps. Like, come on, let's get this together, guys. Like,
Yeah, Al Gore's college roommate, right?
exactly. Yeah.
Tommy Lee Jones?
Isn't that crazy?
Did they invent the internet together? Is that why he's so cranky? Because Al Gore didn't give him credit for the
Give him
internet?
credit for the
Tommy Lee
internet.
Jones seems like the kind of person who would be like, "This is a stupid idea. I don't want anything to do with it."
Maybe Tommy Lee Jones was like the catalyst who did not believe in Al Gore that made him
Like,
go
I don't
on
need
to
to talk to
achieve such
anybody.
great heights. Yeah.
Okay, Gerik, we're back to you. You have two left to pick: action or comedy, and wild
All
card.
right. That was a good pick there, Steven. And you know, I'll add to what you said. You talking about Men in Black. You mentioned the music as well.
Yeah.
That was such a big song. I love the song. Here come the Men in Black.
Yep.
Yeah, it was like that was on
That's
the
right.
radio all the time. So it was like that was another thing that added to this being such a box office hit. You know, it was a fan favorite cultural phenomenon. You know, being light and energetic and fun. So, you know, that's a good pick. It's a good pick. I had that in my possibilities. Let's see. So I got two more to go. I need to pick action or comedy, and then I've got a wild card. So let's pick this action or comedy, because wild card could be anything. With what's left, we are gonna go, folks, with Ghostbusters.
I knew it.
I wanted that one.
I knew it. I was like, you're saving it. I was like, nope, I'm taking it. Comedy. We're putting that in as comedy. Let's go.
All right.
And it's fair because I dressed as a Ghostbuster this past year.
That's right, I remember.
For Halloween, right?
But do you know what they call the fans of Ghostbusters?
Proton pack and everything. I'm like, I've got the props, so I should have this pick. It should be in my draft list, you know.
What do they call the Ghostbusters fans, Laura?
Ghost heads.
Ghost
heads.
heads. Yeah, ghost heads.
So-
I love that.
Interestingly, nobody agrees with me on this, but my favorite Indiana Jones film is Temple of Doom, and that's what Ghostbusters
Nobody
beat at the box
agrees
office.
with you.
Nope.
That's your favorite? Your favorite Indiana
Oh, I
Jones
love
film?
it. I mean, it's the only one where they pull a heart out of someone's chest. Why wouldn't I love it?
Yeah, and they eat monkey brain. Chilled a monkey brains.
Yeah, I don't like that part.
No, thank
but
you.
You know, that was my favorite part. Is that I'm like, oh,
Heart
look at the stuff
snatching.
they're eating. This is funny. Like slurping stuff. They're
the eyeball soup, like ugh,
yeah, eyeball soup.
gross.
It's so ridiculous.
All right, Laura, you have your last two picks. You have action and
I
comedy
know.
and wild card.
Well, now I have to choose a different action and comedy. So I'm actually right now looking at the list again.
Well, while you look, we'll try and buy you some time, and
Yeah.
because I bet Steven, don't you have any great facts about Ghostbusters? I know you have something, because we didn't say enough about this great film.
Yes, I
Okay?
agree.
You know, I don't have any facts about it, but what I can offer is that this week from my beloved Vinegar Syndrome, put out by the Canadian International Pictures Film Studio, which is funded by Canada, I picked up this copy of Cannibal Girls, which is the second film directed by Ivan Reitman, and it stars Eugene Levy and Andrea Martin from SCTV. So I don't have any specific Ghostbusters things, but I can tie it to Ivan Reitman
But that was
in a way.
Pre-Ghostbusters.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
I wonder how far along in Ivan Reitman's career was Ghostbusters. I didn't know him as a director, and I don't know that I really associate anything with Ivan Reitman other than Ghostbusters. Maybe Twins? Didn't he make that movie with
Yep.
Schwarzenegger and Danny DeVito? That's kind of iconic, being a silly idea.
So Cannibal Girls is 1973, and that's his second film. So he'd been around for 10 or 15 years at that point. Did a few shorts before this. So, yeah, he's been around.
Yeah.
Okay, Laura,
right.
what do you...
I think I'm ready.
What do you got?
I'm going to go with the trend of, apparently so far, I chose the lowest money-making blockbuster in Superman 2, which I'm kind of scared to reveal given the conversation that I just had with Mike about that. But, okay.
Wow, hold on. Let's. I didn't even look at these numbers, but you're right. We should say this for the listeners.
It says 59.
59.2 million.
Do you have an explanation
and most
for
of
that,
the
anybody?
other films are over 150, 200 million. Not like it. Laura's right. It's like literally the only one. There are only two other films that made less than $100 million.
So now that was in
list.
what? That was 1981. So I'm wondering what happened that would have made it so much lower than The Empire Strikes Back, which was 222 million. Like, did people get into theaters and then word of mouth got around and like, hey guys, this isn't as good as the first one, or was there something else?
I'm not sure how that number is populated differently, but the overall gross for Superman 2 worldwide is 108 million. So it's double.
Oh, okay, but it's still low
what's
though.
On there. But I don't know
It's
why
still lower.
it came up that way.
Yeah.
Yeah, actually, Superman 2 beat out Stripes as the number 2 film that year, which is kind of fun.
Bill Murray.
All right, well, the one I'm going to go with, which is the third lowest on this list, it's neck and neck with Who Framed Roger Rabbit. For my action and comedy, I'm going to pick Top Gun.
Okay.
And
now, is that considered an action film or a comedy film?
I mean, I think it depends how you look at it.
It depends on how you feel about the volleyball scene.
Yeah, how do you feel about, or like, Val Kilmer constantly like doing an imitation of a crocodile for some reason every time he talks. Or how you feel about Tom Cruise maybe could affect whether you think it's action. I don't know. He was pretty damn serious in that movie though. And he didn't really have any of that Scientology stuff going on yet back then, or at least that we knew.
80s Tom Cruise and 90s Tom Cruise are very different Tom Cruises, so you can there's a clear line.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's not a hard choice. I love Top Gun, even though I don't know why. That's in 1983, I think. And Steve and I were talking about this the other day. 86. So what was the reason that suddenly in the 80s, if you really look at these numbers, some of these numbers are lower than they were in the 70s for how much money they were bringing in? And Stephen, you had a theory. What was your theory about it? Something with like the VCR?
Well, it was my theory for everything on the show is that 9/11 affected it. And I know 9/11 hasn't happened yet at this point, but somehow
no, come on. What was the real reason?
I think home video had a hand in, like people not going to the movies as much. I could be wrong, but this is right when, early 80s is when the VCR became more prominent in households. And so I'm sure that just like streaming, that had a little bit of an effect. But, these films, like you said, Gerik, they wouldn't come out for like a year or two. So you still had to go to the theater to see things.
Best.
But I think,
It took a
and they
long
would be,
time to get some
you could rent them. But to buy them would be like $400 for like mask or something. So you don't want to pay that money. So,
When did Batman come out? 90?
89.
89.
89. Okay, so I mean, that's interesting that you bring that up then, because I think I do remember, Mike, when Batman was being marketed, it being a thing like we want to watch this in the theater. You know, you don't want to wait for the VHS of this.
Yeah.
Because at that point, we were all becoming spoiled by having VCRs, or most people were.
So
that
to your
makes sense.
point too is some years have a better crop of films than others. So could be that money was split amongst other films. This year, The Karate Kid Part 2 came out, and that was number 2 behind this that summer. So that could be. I like to think that most people went to see the number 3 film instead of these, which is Back to School with Rodney Dangerfield. But according to the box office, that's not quite the
That
case.
was 3? Man, Rodney
Number 3.
Dangerfield was popular.
Yeah, listen to this, just because this is kind of fascinating. Number 1, Top Gun. Number 2, Karate Kid Part 2. Number 3, Back to School. Number 4, Aliens. Number 5, Ferris Bueller's Day Off. So Back to School beat Aliens and Ferris Bueller.
Back to School beat Aliens.
Rounding it out at
People
number
probably
8,
did
though.
not know what Ferris was. Yeah.
Number 8,
Yeah.
though, Mike, is Cobra. So Cobra cracked the top 10, but it didn't.
Mike loves Marion Cobretti.
Like I said to Steven, there's like the first 20 minutes of that movie are really good. The rest of it is hot garbage. Like it's just,
It's
that
terrible.
movie takes a turn so fast. But geez, those
it's so
first
bad.
20 minutes are fun.
I
just
did see that.
picture him
Didn't
in
we
that
watch that
warehouse,
together?
like clinking axes together in the end or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah. It just really
Steven,
just
was that
it falls
was that
apart.
Predator or Cobra that you showed me? Because you were like, you have to see the beginning of this movie. It was like years
Oh
ago.
no, that was Commando because
Oh yeah,
Schwarzenegger's
Commando, yeah.
feeding a deer and carrying a tree. Yeah.
Yeah, he's like, I know this. I know these movies are not. Yeah.
Yes, of course. He showed her the beginning.
I'm
It
like,
was one
this
of
is the
those
most
moments where he's
absurd
like,
5
he's like,
minutes
honey,
of a
I know
movie.
this is not your thing, but you do need to watch this.
And his daughter
Yeah.
is Alyssa Milano.
Yeah,
That's
yeah, I
right.
was into that part of it.
Right.
Okay,
Yeah.
so that's my choice, Top Gun, and I do want to add one positive thing about Top Gun, since we're all kind of like shitting on it. So I loved the most recent one, Maverick, right? Is when it was called?
Incredible.
Yeah, incredible movie. And I
fantastic
think
movie.
because there was just so much like marketing and promotion and you know, movies, YouTube videos, documentary style footage of Maverick, of the making of Maverick, it's like I finally understood for the first time, oh, when they did Top Gun, they really flew those planes. You know, like they were actually, at least Tom Cruise was probably insisting on doing that. And it wasn't what, like, you know, I think when I watched it the first time, I thought it was like special effects. So that's kind of cool. I don't know how often that was happening in movies back then. And then, of course, the music. You know, Take My Breath Away? Isn't that the song? That was a big deal in the 80s.
The
that
heavily overused theme of Top
Yeah.
Gun. Yes, that's the top thing that sticks out to me in that movie. I love that movie. I saw that movie in the theater too. It was one of my first theater experiences that I remember, going to see Top Gun. And yeah, that song and then how it just keeps playing the theme over and over. Dun, 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 dun.
Yeah.
And then there's Danger Zone. So that's one of the, one of the
Highway to
movies
the
with a
Danger
couple
Zone.
bangers
Oh, yeah,
on it.
Kenny Loggins.
Yeah, a couple
Yeah.
of bangers. That's right, Steven.
But the other interesting thing is that this is a Tony Scott film, and this is a year after Beverly Hills Cop 2. So you really get to see the difference in how he can make a film, because when we think of Tony Scott, we think of maximalism and like pure insanity, which is what Top Gun is essentially, especially with Tom Cruise involved. But Beverly Hills Cop 2 is a little more subdued, and it's not 1,000 quick cuts and like the craziness that you expect from a Tony Scott film. So that makes me feel even better about my pick of Beverly Hills Cop 2.
That's a good call, Steven, that I didn't even notice. And I think, that is the only director who had the top grossing summer film in back-to-back years. It's Tony
Yeah.
Scott. I'm looking down this list. I don't think we have a repeat director in back-to-back years.
Yeah.
So, good time for him, 86, 87.
Yeah. He
I
had
think
a pretty good
Maverick
80s.
is Maverick's an interesting character, also.
Yeah.
I would
Pete
say.
Mitchell.
I don't know.
Yeah,
I think
kinda-
Tom
kinda
Cruise is an
tortured.
interesting character.
Yeah.
All right, Laura, you get one more pick under wild card, whatever you want.
All right. Well, luckily, no one has chosen this yet. but I assume it's because It's Gross was similar to Top Gun. It is also not a high-grossing movie. And my wild card, I have to say, is going to be Grease.
Ah, okay.
Grease.
I was wondering if anybody would take that.
Which probably had more of an influence on my adolescence than any other movie that I watched, because that was the real, like, I don't know if this happened to you, Gerik, but anytime I went to a party in high school that involved a sleepover or movies, it was, we're going to watch Grease. It was, but maybe because we did it, like we put on the show. I don't know if your high school did that, but I just want to read to you, like, oh, sorry.
No, I was going to say, no, that only happened for white people.
Yeah.
No, literally,
Yeah,
because
that makes
you're
sense.
going to laugh at this, Laura. I wanted you to make that statement. I'm so glad that you said that, because I had a feeling that was true. That, like, probably a lot of my white friends at that time loved this movie. This is the only movie of these 26 on this list that I have not seen. I've never
Wow.
even seen Grease. Obviously, I'm aware of it, you know, and I heard the songs.
Yeah.
John Travolta and all that. Yeah, I know about it. Still never seen this film.
Well, there's also there's a really great documentary that Steven and I saw a couple years ago about the guy who made the movie, who made Grease, and his name was, there's a producer named Alan Carr, and I'm trying to find, I had something up on my phone a minute ago about him, that he basically I mean, you have to watch this documentary. It's unbelievable. Like, it's just one of those Hollywood characters, but he was really good at marketing. Like, he was just really good at making something into a whole fiasco. But he also had a tendency to bet on things that were not good. like he would blow something up to be huge, and then it would come out and it would kind of be terrible. But Grease, for some reason, was like the one where he ended up being right.
Now
people
Grease,
didn't-
was that a musical on stage first?
Yes.
And then they adapted it into this film, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
But I think it's just I think he also did Cajo Fall or The Birdcage.
Okay.
But I think Grease is known to be like the only Alan Carr success that he made, because other stuff just turned out to be terrible, but he lucked out with Grease for some reason.
Well, the thing to remember about Grease the movie, and this might be Alan Carr's genius, because all the versions that people do now are based on the movie, but the original play was much dirtier than the movie.
Yes.
A lot more coarse and a lot highly sexualized. It was a lot more, and so they kind of sanded down some of the edges for the movie, and that in a way is what made it explode, and now allows high schools across the country to do
Yeah.
it all the time. So it's I don't know if that was his input, but I mean, it ended up being a pretty genius move.
I watched like a documentary about it recently, so that's the only way I would know this. But I love the fact that in the original musical version, Sandy has the big ballad, you know, like she has the big song, but Danny does not. But John Travolta insisted that if Olivia Newton-John was going to have a song, he had to have a song too. So they actually wrote Stranded at the Drive-In for him, just so he could have an equal amount of screen time, which I think is so funny and ridiculous.
That's like a Stallone move.
Yeah.
Now you know why they ended up working together so well. There you go.
And, you know, Stranded at the Drive-In has not had the longevity of Endlessly Devoted to You.
No. I will just
Or
say one
hopelessly
other side
devoted to you,
note.
I
This is
forget.
totally off topic, but of a song written for a movie version that wasn't in the original stage play. Like, I had no idea that the finale song for Little Shop of Horrors in the movie was not in the original play. Mean Green Mother from Outer Space. Like, because I saw the movie first. I was shocked. Like, that song is amazing. I don't know how, and it kind of sums things up so perfectly. Like, I'm just amazed that it wasn't in the original stage show.
I didn't know that either.
Those things
Anyway,
change
The
so
fact
much.
I remember
um,
about that movie, Little Shop of Horrors, was that, you know, I grew up hearing my parents play the Motown music, you know, the Temptations, the Four Tops, and to find out that the voice of Audrey 2 was, I think his name was Levi Stubbs, who was the lead singer of the
Yeah.
Four Tops. And I was hearing it, I was like, oh yeah, that's that voice, man. That's the guy from the Four Tops is playing this Audrey 2.
Yep.
Yeah, and that's also, isn't that the same, what's his name, the music director of Little Shop of Horrors? It's the same guy who just redid all of Disney in the 90s. Like, he did Little Mermaid, he did Lion King, What was his name? The guy who wrote all the music for it. He started by making Little Shop.
Was it Alan Menken?
Oh, Harry or something like that.
Harry? I don't know. I just
Hal,
heard
maybe?
a fun fact actually about this movie. I know we're not even talking about Little Shop of Horrors, but quick fun fact I saw this week that they couldn't puppeteer. I literally just saw this. They couldn't puppeteer that Audrey 2 to fast enough to look real, right? Because it was a big ass puppet, puppeteered by a lot of people. So they filmed that in like half speed.
Oh.
And then would speed it up, like so. Everything is they're doing at like half
That's
speed,
cool.
and so every shot that Rick Moranis is in talking to Audrey, he has to perform at half speed.
That explains
And they
a
redid
lot.
the dialogue, and I was like, wow. And I watched him execute a few scenes, and so you can see they're like opening his mouth. It's kind of looking slow, and then of course when they play it back in editing, it'll go faster. But they could, everything where they're showing that puppet is either the puppet's by itself and they're shooting at half speed. If someone else is in that frame with them, they had to act it out at half speed.
Wow.
Oh, that's fascinating. It's
so
actually it's
Howard
Howard
Ashman.
Pretty
Yeah,
cool,
Howard
right?
Ashman and Alan Menken
Yeah, Howard Ashman.
wrote it together,
Howard
but
Ashman.
there's a great documentary about
Alan
Howard
Menken,
Ashman
okay.
Yes, that's what I was thinking of.
on
yeah.
Disney.
On
which is,
the Disney Plus.
Yeah, it's a really good watch. But anyway. Yeah, I mean to veer off into
All right.
Little Shop of Horrors.
Let's.
Right.
Garrick, you have
Back
one
to
last
the
pick
draft
in wild
for my
card.
last pick. All right, and so for my wild card, which makes it easy because I can take anything that's left. And I believe of the remaining films that I would like to round out my draft picks with The Omen.
Ooh.
Going The Omen. 1976. Damien.
That's a good one.
666. Damien. Dun, dun, dun.
I was
666.
debating picking that.
Oh, I know you were.
Wait, no, that's one where I
Oh, I
pulled a
know
Joan.
you were, Stephen.
My
okay.
mom's name is Joan, and I made you turn it off, didn't I, Steven? When we watched that?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, that's what it was. Gerik, when they showed him like climbing on the ceiling, I was like, I'm done. This is too scary. I can't do it. I can't do it.
I'm gonna
too much
go
for
with
me.
that one. That's a tough pick. I'd kind of like to pick Return of the Jedi, but I almost feel like that's cheating because I already picked Empire. I don't want to put two Star Wars movies in the same
And Mike
list.
took it. Mike took Return.
No, he didn't.
Oh
take
no,
Jedi.
you
he doesn't- yeah.
teased us. That's
Yeah,
right.
he
you
almost
teased
took
us.
Jedi.
He didn't.
But I didn't.
Yeah. Yeah. Same thing.
Your little
He didn't
Jedi
take-
mind trick.
I remember the three Omen movies used to show on HBO all the time in the 80s. And I told you I never watched a lot
Showed
of
a
horror
lot on
movies.
cable.
But I watched
Yeah.
watched those three movies a lot on HBO. Like they were just on all the time. So
It's true. I definitely saw him at home. I think on HBO first. I mean, obviously
Yeah.
this one came out before I was born. But at some point in the late '80s, I remember catching that, and I just like the creepy vibes of it. You know, just kind of how
Yeah,
it was the
It won an
atmosphere
Oscar.
of The Omen. Yeah.
that's the thing.
I'm surprised it was the top movie that summer.
Jerry Goldsmith, I think, did the
Won for the
music
score.
it and won for the score. Yeah, and I think coming off of The Exorcist, you have a little bit of, and Jaws, really. There's a little bit of horror momentum. It's also a very cynical 70s, so it makes sense. Gregory Peck is so good in it. I mean, the fact that you have Gregory Peck in a horror film is kind of a big deal. So, yeah, that's a good pick.
yeah.
Good pick. All right,
Long
let's.
time after.
We're running a little long, so let's move on. I get my last pick.
Yes.
It has to be a sequel. We're kind of getting into slim pickings here, so sort of trying to figure out the lesser of the evils at this point. I think just because I don't have any big Star Wars Lucas stuff in there yet, I'm going to go Return of the Jedi as my pick. And
Yeah, go ahead and take it. Come on, take it.
it's one that I enjoyed. I mean, it's no Empire, but the Ewoks were very important to me. So for that alone,
You know you love the Ewoks. So.
yeah, that alone it makes
Justice
it.
for Ewoks.
Yeah, I mean, truly, justice for Ewoks. And there was just some really cool stuff in this. Like the mechanism, the ATST in the forest, the two-legged AT-ATs, and I don't know. Luke had a green
And the
lightsaber.
speeders.
Really cool. And the
whole
speeders, that's right.
race sequence through the forest. Yeah, that was iconic at that time.
Really,
And
really
Jabba.
cool. And
Right.
yeah, Jabba too. So yeah, we'll just move on quickly. But Mike, what's your last pick here?
So I feel like I'm gonna bait and switch again, but I'm gonna do it quickly. I really wanted to pick Mission Impossible 2, which I have good memories of seeing in the movie theater. I saw it in like the largest screen possible, and I'm a sucker for like John Woo and Tom Cruise with long hair and doves and stuff. Like that's just
Yeah.
unbelievable. It's just so many good sequences in that movie.
Well, that is that movie. Yeah,
It's not that great of a movie, but there's just so many great sequences in it. But for my wild card, and I'm surprised no one picked it, but I guess I'm not that surprised. Going Lion King. That's my
Boom.
wild card
All
pick.
right.
I mean, Lion
Nice
King.
choice.
So it's funny. It's funny because you just mentioned like the run in the '90s. I mean, when the resurgence of Disney happened, in '87 with The Little Mermaid, Beauty and the Beast, Aladdin, and it was capped by The Lion King. I mean, it was that 4-movie run, and The Lion King was the final movie in that run, and it was just truly. I think the opening sequence to The Lion King is one of the greatest opening sequences in movie history. I know that's crazy to say, but I genuinely believe it. Like that opening Simba sequence, it gave me chills. Like I saw it in the movie theater, and like the title card just like popped up after that sequence, and I got chills. I was like, this is stunning. Like what a huge like hand drawn
Is the opening sequence
achievement.
the one where Simba's born and they hold him to the sky?
Where everybody
and
comes and they
Okay.
they bow to Simba. It's like that's all hand drawn. I mean,
Right.
most of it. It was the beginning of started kind of using some digital animation, but that opening sequence is hand drawn. It's just such a beautiful achievement in animation, old school animation. I really love it. I think it's great. I mean, Elton John is not Howard Ashman. That is what it is. I mean, I think those songs are fine. I don't really love the songs; they're okay. But I just think the movie itself is really, really fantastic.
The live action version's good too.
I haven't seen that yet.
I'm not saying anything because we're not arguing anymore today. So I'm not gonna say it.
Right.
You didn't like it?
Yeah.
I find the use of the phrase live action to be a misnomer because it's just more animation. It's just digital.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
So, and I like the original so much. I mean, yes, I think getting actors that aren't Matthew Broderick to play an African lion is probably a good move. I mean, I'm not going to argue with that. That's totally fair. I'm not again, I'm not a crazy person, but I still, but the original one, I have a fondness for.
I might have thought of it just because we watched Sheep Detectives last night.
Sheep Detective is great. I told Steven about this. We discussed it on the pod.
So good.
That movie was so
Finally
good.
saw it.
I loved it.
Good.
So you like it when they animate sheep, but you don't like it when they animate lions.
do. And I said to him, it goes against everything I believe in, but
Yeah.
those sheep, I really like them. It's the only time I'm willing to accept like AI digital fake animals.
This is a really, really high level debate we're having.
Yeah, it was good.
Yeah. So, Gerik, you mentioned Grease, and The Lion King is the only one on this list that I've never seen. So,
okay.
Just to kind of follow along there.
And I'm that's one of the ones that I know the least. I was going to mention that as they're bringing it. That's why I had to ask. What's the opening sequence? Is that because see, I don't know it that well. I've seen The Lion King once. I missed I don't know what it was, Laura. Maybe because I was a guy and we were in like high school at this time that Mike was talking about this resurgence, right? Beauty and the Beast, Little Mermaid, Aladdin, Lion King. These Disney big animated films. Something about that time, I'm like, I'm
pretty sure I saw The Lion King in the movie theater alone.
Kids animated movies.
Yeah, I don't think I saw that with any of my friends because I wasn't willing to admit that I was like super into Disney animated movies. So
I
fair.
saw
Yeah.
all of those films
That's a fair
years
point.
later, and so
Well-
I've only seen Lion King once, and it was probably within the last 5 to 10 years that I saw it. So I don't know this
missed it.
super well. I
Yeah,
wasn't
I
like
think you're
attached
right.
to these movies back at that time, just because I thought it was I was being stubborn teenage boy. Like,
I just know that you were involved in theater to some degree, and it was always the theater kids. in my high school that were interested.
That's why I'm surprised that
Yeah.
I did kind of do that, like, because right at the same time I'm like performing in musicals and stuff like that. So
Yeah, 100% Disney adults were theater kids in the 90s.
Yeah.
yeah,
Okay, guys, we did it.
that's it.
Let me run down what our picks were really quickly before we head out. Laura, action or comedy? You picked Top Gun. Oscar winner, you picked Star Wars. Spielberg, Lucas, Cameron involved, you picked E.T. Sequel, you picked Superman 2. Wild card, you picked Grease. Do you feel pretty good about that pick? About that whole slate? That's pretty good, right?
I'm second guessing my feelings about Superman 2 because Mike made some good
Everybody
points.
is. Yeah.
But I also wish Gerik had not stolen Ghostbusters right from under my nose.
She had that next. She was
'Cause
going
Top,
next.
Top Gun was a last resort. But yeah, I would say overall, yes. Overall, I'm very happy with the ones I chose because I think the reason I chose each of these was for what I believe to be cultural influence. I think each one of these titles changed the way movies affected us as far as like just far, like it's far spanning, like to fashion, music, toys, not just, these were not just kids movies. These were affecting culture when they came out, and they changed the way we, and I think they're referenced a lot in movies. So those are my
It's a
arguments.
well-rounded slate. Okay. Gerik, for you, action or comedy, you picked Ghostbusters. Oscar winner, Alien. Spielberg, Lucas, Cameron, you picked Terminator 2. Sequel, The Empire Strikes Back. Wild card, The Omen. Good lineup for you?
I feel really good about this lineup, and I feel like I've got sort of I don't know. I think this shows that in my heart in these blockbuster films, there was always all of these. Almost all of them you could call science fiction.
Yeah.
Ghostbusters, Alien, T2, Empire, definite science fiction. The Omen, we'll say that's more supernatural. Okay.
Yeah.
But there's always the fantastical element. Something that we don't see normally in our everyday lives is in every one of these movies, and that's what attracted me to cinema as a child, right? Was seeing the Ghostbusters with their proton packs and and the alien killing people and the Terminator taking over the future and the lightsabers and the Empire and then the Omen just being scary, it's supernatural horror. Like, how is that possible? Because didn't they tell the Omen as like it was a true story?
I think so, yeah.
Right? Like they're like there was a child who was like this, and I don't know. So
Ugh.
yeah, I like the through line of my five
Good.
choices here and how it would
Okay.
represent my cinematic likes.
This
Nice.
is like an Enneagram test. We're all sort of learning something about ourselves
Yeah.
through our choices.
Okay, Mike, you picked for action or comedy Batman, Oscar winner, Who Framed Roger Rabbit, Spielberg, Lucas, Cameron, Jurassic Park, sequel, Rambo, First Blood Part 2, and wild card, The Lion King. Any regrets? Or you stand by
I don't
it?
live with regrets about my movie choices. I'm too old for that now. But yeah, I mean, just like what Gerik said, I mean, it's true. It's like I'm looking at that list, and it's like those are movies that have profound effects on me, as far as a moviegoer, and just and maybe in terms of First Blood Part 2, an unfortunate thing about my masculinity as a young boy in the '80s, but that's fine. We all went through that. But yeah,
I
will
learned a
say
lot today.
But yeah, it's funny because I showed Rambo
Learned a
Part
lot.
2 to my son this year, and the first thing he did was he started doing push-ups and went outside and started shooting bows and arrows in the backyard. And I'm
I
like,
remember.
it still has magic. The magic holds.
See?
Like, there's
Oh my
no doubt
God!
about it.
Yeah.
It's it doesn't change.
What a
Wow.
legacy.
Yeah, it gets right into you. It's
That's
just-
amazing.
Something about that movie. It just
So-
makes you want to run around the jungle, man.
It hypes you up for sure.
It's your hype.
Okay. My
And what were
picks
yours?
for action or comedy, I picked Beverly Hills Cop 2.
Right.
Oscar winner, I picked Jaws. Spielberg, Lucas, Cameron, Men in Black. Sequel, Return of the Jedi, and wild card Ghost. I don't know what this says about me. I sort of picked on a almost like a detached way, in a way, looking at them analytically about what they did in the box office or what they represented. I guess Ghost says that I'm sensitive. Return of the Jedi and Men in Black say that I'm, I don't know, into science fiction, which I'm not. Beverly Hills Cop says I'm funny, and Jaws says I don't know, I like good movies.
I'm going to say,
so.
Look, the fact that you put Ghost on your list and not The Omen is probably my biggest surprise of this whole draft. It just shows
and
you
early in the pick,
multitudes. There you
too.
go.
It wasn't. Yeah.
I was leaving
I
The
have to
Omen
say-
around for you, Steven. I'm like, all right, if anyone's going to pick The Omen, it's going to be Steven. So
I really think, of all the films that we've covered, Mike, and it's almost like 200 now, Ghost really is the one that like surprised me the most and kind of sits with me. I don't know why that is. Maybe it's like my age now, but yeah, I think about it a lot. And I think either a new 4K edition was recently released or it's coming up, so I'm looking forward to getting it.
Yeah, I totally get it.
'cause,
Movie I
yeah.
think about the least, Armageddon. That's which no one picked on the
Yeah,
list.
nobody picked that.
There's a reason for that. Okay.
Yeah.
I can back Steven up with this. The other day I did something and he goes, "Oh, you're like Oda Mae Brown."
Yeah.
Oda Mae. Oh, my
Like
Lord.
no one's ever compared me to her before
It's always in my head.
because it's always in his head.
Oda Mae.
All right,
Well,
well,
yeah,
let's,
we know that Steven, you have a deep connection to that movie. We've talked about that on multiple podcasts before. Just
Yeah.
same thing, like Mike said, he's got this deep connection with Batman and how it just changed his life when it came out. We've talked about that, and how T2 with me. As I knew
Yeah.
those movies. I was like, Steven should have Ghost on his list here. Okay,
And I was happy to rediscover
And-
this summer that it's E.T. for me.
right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay. So right, we each had our one. All right, and you get
Yeah,
E.T. and Mike gets
we
Batman.
actually
That's
argue
the,
with our
like-
kids about E.T. because in both instances it was like the first movie that both of my kids loved. It's like one of the first movies they both like took to. Like we showed
Both
them,
loved.
we showed them they were really
okay.
young, and both of them claim now to not like it because they're at that age now where it's not cool to like E.T.
Well,
But
yeah,
but when they first
Yeah, but
saw it, they
here-
loved it. And they'll come around to it again, like in a decade. They'll come back to it. You know what I mean? Like that's just how it goes.
right. Well, it's a classic, and here's the power of E.T. On Father's Day this year, Stephen and I were going for a walk, and I'm sure I was saying something about missing my dad. And we walk over, and on our way back, we see this giant mural that's now being painted on this movie theater that they're renovating in our town. And it just says the Bellevue at Montclair. And he's like, "Oh, wait, look, isn't that E.T.? They had painted the moon, and someone had painted a sketch of E.T. and the bike, going across the moon. And then there was also a Peter Pan. And then there was also a Darth Vader, like all of these iconic movies from our youth. But it was like honestly, I started sobbing as soon as I saw it. Because I was like, oh, there's my dad. And it's Father's Day. That's just, man. And that's what made me come home and watch it again. And when I saw him lift off on the bike, I mean, that's a thing we had not seen. We had not seen that in movies, save for maybe Peter Pan. It was just, there's this magic and this awe-inspiring moment of wonder that even as an adult, when you see that, it still gets you. And we
Yeah.
need that in these times, I think.
Yeah. Okay, guys, we have to land this plane. So,
Wait,
Gerik, Laura,
can I
it's a
mention
good place
one
to wrap
more
up.
thing, Steven? You can cut this out if you want, but I have to call out the so looking at the list now that we're done. Looking
Okay.
at the list from 1975 to 2000, I'm sure you will all notice we chose every film from 1975 to 1991.
Ooh, really?
All of the films that we didn't pick are at the end of this list.
Yeah.
2000s Mission Impossible 2, 99 Star Wars Phantom Menace 1,
Well, that was a
Armageddon in 98, Independence Day 96, Batman Forever in 95, and Batman Returns in 92.
Yeah, I think it speaks more to those movies than it does to us. Those movies are when
Yeah.
there's diminishing returns at a certain point.
Right.
So are we
Yeah.
luckier than millennials then?
yes. Yes, we
Yeah,
are.
yes, yeah. That's
To
a good
have
point.
grown up when we did.
When we did, yeah.
Yeah,
Oh,
let's go with that.
100%. I mean, there's not a better time to grow up as far as film history goes. All right. Before we go, Laura, Gerik, thanks so much for coming on and doing this. This was a lot of fun. Laura, where can people find you if they want to reach out?
You can go to my website. It's by bylauracarney.com. And I'm trying to get better about my newsletter, but you can sign up there and buy my book if you want to.
What's it called?
My Father's List.
Okay, excellent.
Hey.
Gerik, how about you? If anybody wants to find you, where can they look?
They can find me on social media under my actual name, which is Gerik Gooch. That's Gerik Gooch. You can find me there on Instagram or on Facebook.
Okay, excellent. And as always, you can find us at Movie Throwdown Pod on all of social media. Each week we put up a poll so you can help us vote on what the winner of next week's show is. And speaking of that, next week we're returning to our original format of two films battling it out. And we're going to talk about 2002's Phone Booth. And that's going to go up against The Guilty from 2021, which is a film I barely remember. But I get the man in the telephone aspect of it. So I think it's going to be fun to talk about these two very good lead performances and supporting performances. So I think it's going to be a lot of fun. Do join us on social media and vote for which one you think is better when we post the poll. And yeah, thanks again, Laura and Gerik. And thanks everyone for watching or listening. We will see you next week. So long.